On this week's Waypoint, everything you need to know about patch 4.17 and the LCS expansion tournament. What's up guys, and welcome to Waypoint. I'm your host, Kat Andresco. As of the time of this recording, patch 4.17 is right around the corner. Looking at the PBE notes, it's a pretty big patch with a fair number of balance changes as well as the Soraka and Victor reworks. Keep in mind, things may change between the PBE notes and the official release, so if I miss anything, that's why. We're pretty sure things are just about set in stone at this point though, so let's dive in, starting with everyone's favorite snake lady, Cassiopeia. Cassie's base mana and mana per level are both being bumped up by a noticeable amount. As we talked about last week, without her old passive to help her, mana was a bit of an issue for Cassie, and this should help significantly. Like most mages, she'll probably end up going Athenes or Tear, but that's just mid lane. The AP ratio on Q is also being increased slightly, which no one's going to complain about. Its damage got gutted and shifted to E in her rework. I'm hoping to see a few more changes in the official patch notes, but this looks like a good start. Still not sure it's enough to help her claim back the 10% win rate she lost though. This came out of nowhere. Garen's passive is getting a big buff. He's not exactly the most popular champion in the league, so I'll go over what it does. Before the patch, Garen would restore 0.4% of his max health every second after not taking damage from anything but minions in the last 9 seconds. After the patch, the cooldown will decrease and the regen will go up at level 11. Also at 11, jungle monsters won't turn his passive regen off anymore, except Dragon and Baron. At 16, the cooldown will be just 4 seconds, and the health regen will be 2% every second, which is a lot. I guess that's a nice change. I'm not sure it's what Garen needs though. It doesn't help his early game, but it does make him a little more sustainable in sieges, even if he builds heavy damage. LeBlanc has been struggling to stay relevant after the removal of her silence, so Riot is giving her a little love. She'll now go invisible for a whole 0.5 seconds more when her passive pops, and she'll have 1 second extra to active her teleport with W. Despite numerous nerfs since his rise to dominance, Maokai's still pretty strong. The maximum bonus damage on his ultimate is being lowered by 50 at all levels, which is mostly aimed at his team fighting strength. Maokai has such a ludicrous amount of utility, peel, and engage, you really shouldn't be picking him for his damage anyway. Riot is continuing the trend they started with Kassadin and then LeBlanc by removing Talon's silence. In exchange, his E will now slow the target by 99% for 0.1 seconds. Those numbers are kinda weird, so keep an eye on those official notes. Talon has been getting more and more popular, and he's been seen as a strong counter-pick in competitive play, so I can't say that I'm surprised by this change. When it comes down to it, assassins with a silence are just not fun to play against. It's one thing to give a champion massive burst damage, but silence just negates any kind of counterplay. However, we might now see Talon fall out of play completely, like LeBlanc, which would be a real shame. Tristana is a monster in the bottom lane right now, scaling into a hyper carry come late game. She's a highly contested pick at the World Championships, and it was only a matter of time before we saw some nerfs. The cooldown on her ultimate is being massively increased to 100, 85, and 70 as she skills it up. That's from 60 at all ranks previously, so it's definitely gonna hurt her. I don't think this addresses the core problems with Tristana, but it will give her lane opponents bigger windows to punish her. She's still gonna be top tier though. Soraka will basically be a new champion after the patch goes live. We went over her changes on a previous episode, and there'll likely be a new champion spotlight with her release, so we won't go over everything again. That said, Riot is trying to make Soraka a more fun, more interactive, more interesting champion. She'll still be the best healer in the game, but she'll have to manage her own health to be effective, which will involve hitting her new Star Call skill shot on enemies. She'll also be one of the very few champions in the game to have an AoE silence, which is going to be a game changer. If her numbers are good, on paper, she looks like a much better champion and a solid support. Victor's changes are less drastic, mostly numbers tweaks. The most exciting change is probably his passive. Going forward, players will be able to upgrade his Hex Core 3 times for 1,000 gold each. Each upgrade will earn Victor some significant stats and a new effect on one of his abilities. His ultimate will be buffed as well after all 3 upgrades. I'll be honest, like most people, Victor is a bit of a mystery to me. The only champion I know less about is Vel'Koz, and that's saying something. He's never been popular, he's never seen competitive play. I barely know what he does currently. Whether or not these changes are what he needs, we'll have to wait and see. The World Championships are ongoing and ruining sleep schedules across North and South America. Whether you guys are watching it live or catching the rebroadcast, I hope you're enjoying it. The quality of play has been so high, and it's only going to get better as we move deeper into the tournament. That said, although we still have a long way to go to the finals on October 19th, we already have the details on the next must-watch tournament. The LCS expansion tournament will take place from November 15th to December 21st, with the 4 eventual winners making their way to the LCS proper. The 2 top NA and EU teams in the tournament will enter the LCS leagues of their respective regions, bringing up the total numbers of teams in each region to 10. 13 teams, which is a weird number, will compete for the spots. The teams will be drawn from the earlier promotion tournament and Challenger Series playoffs, as well as the Ranked 5s ladder. If you think your ranked team has a shot, you'll have until November 2nd in NA or November 9th in EU to get to the top of the ladder. We'll put a link below to the announcement where you can read up on all the details. As much as we all love League of Legends, I've always thought there was one thing missing: tanks. If you're in the mood for a change of pace, why not check out World of Tanks? With action-packed gameplay dedicated to armored warfare, with a choice of tanks from all over the world, there's a fiery ball of death for everyone with an appetite for explosions. Not only is it easy to get into with its gameplay and functionality, but it's easy to get into financially. Free to play. There's no barrier to entry at all, and really no reason not to check out World of Tanks. If you're interested, head on over to gboffer.com/tanks and check out World of Tanks today. Following that link and checking out the game is also a fantastic way to support us and keep shows like this going. Once again, to check out World of Tanks and support this content, head on over to gboffer.com/tanks and live out all your tank-filled fantasies. That does it for this week's episode of Waypoint. For more video game news and content, head on over to gamebreaker.tv. Be sure to check back every week for the latest League of Legends news. If you enjoyed this video, please like and comment below and help us reach more people. And if you want more League of Legends content, recaps, and updates, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, LolNationTV. I'm Kat Andresco, and you can follow me on Twitter @KatAndresco. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys at the next Waypoint.
Gamebreaker TV.